Here's what you need to know about the full moon in Aries on October 17th, especially when it's concerning the world at large, mundane astrology, politics, what's going on out there in the ethers. As I mentioned in the last video where I got into talking about, relationships and resources, we are likely going to see that kind of dynamic of severing or purging or pushback occurring in a lot of relationships at a grand scale. But yes, even apply it to institutions at large like FEMA or the federal government. What we are seeing, and I think that we're going to continue to see, is a shift towards people realizing that they don't value the way that other groups, organizations, entities are using taxpayer dollars. Events that have been going on, like what's happened in North Carolina and Florida and elsewhere, are really magnifying and enlarging this issue to the point where people can't ignore it anymore. They're saying, listen, you can't send billions of dollars overseas, and then we've got our own citizens stuck out, and there's basically misuse, abuse of authority, of misappropriation of funds. And the American people are saying, we're not down with this. Like, we're not going to keep funding this. And so what we're seeing arise out of this is a movement of people online saying, hey, go down to HR and refile your 1040 or whatever it is you're filing with them as exempt, so that they no longer take money out of your paycheck, basically bankrupt them, because we ain't paying for it. Like, they're saying, oh, wait a minute. You think you have the right to tell us what to do with our money? Oh no, you do. I'll take my power back. The only reason you had power in the first place is because I gave it to you, honey. You're going to have to remember it, and I'm going to help you. Collectively, we're each learning how to assert our own desires in a new way. But I'm not going to make light of it, okay? This is a very explosive energy. I mean, we're talking about Aries, ruled by Mars, god of war, squaring Saturn and Mars, that are opposing each other. These are both malefics. Like, holy, this is a shit show. So be ready. Do not be surprised if you see anger, resentment, spitefulness, vengeance come out of people as they hit their limits and they're like, enough, I'm not taking this anymore. And, oh, you thought you were in control of this? Let me show you where the control really lies, in my damn pocketbook. Or, to the contrary, oh, you think because you have the money you're running this? It's manpower. It's the power of people coming together in communities, helping one another. It's the power of us taking our power back, walking in our own authority. This is also about individual sovereignty. So, there is this spirit rising up in people of, I'll take care of my damn self. I don't need you. So be careful what kind of buttons you're pushing with people, because they might find their balls, if you know what I mean. If you thought they didn't have them, they just might find them during this energy. And by the way, we're seeing that North Carolina is a perfect example of people saying, we don't need FEMA. We need FEMA just to get out of our way. It could just be as simple as non-compliance. Like, we are not cooperating with you. We are not submitting to you. We have the authority here. And that's pretty powerful. But do make sure that you are protecting yourself, your homes, your neighbors, especially concerning women and children, because Mars and Cancer during this time, really into next year, is illuminating heightened aggression, particularly towards those most vulnerable groups. So I've been saying it for months now with these astrology reports. Form neighborhood watches, guard your home, learn self-defense, maybe learn first aid, get a first aid kit, do whatever, get a ring cam on your, front door, get a guard dog, whatever you got to do to hold your own ground. Because, just side note, we're also in Chiron and Aries during this time. And as a Chiron Aries generation, baby, Generation X, I can tell you, right, we came up during a time when we didn't have 911. You better be responsible for yourself, or be ready to hold your own, because there's no 911 back in the day, right? And so this is more that same vibe of, don't depend on others like FEMA to come rescue you. This is about holding your own. Oh, and when you do hold your own, don't be surprised when some people get pissed off about you asserting your boundaries and maintaining them, because they will. You got to understand this is very triggering energy. And when you come in and tell people, this is mine and that's yours, stay in your own lane, they're going to get pissed off, because this energy is bringing up issues of people abusing boundaries, people not respecting boundaries. You've got to draw that line and hold people to it, and don't be surprised when they get pissed off. For example, FEMA's been coming in telling people, oh, we have jurisdiction over that. And people are like, oh, hold up, wait a second. Who do you work? You work for us. We'll tell you what you have jurisdiction over. Oh, they're like, oh, you think you have jurisdiction over donations? Okay, we'll just call them gifts. Yeah, that's going around too. Oh, I'm just giving something. I'm not donating, because see, then FEMA thinks they have jurisdiction over that. So let me tell you, it's getting ferocious. It's getting fierce, because I mean, these people are not going away quietly or easily. So this could be a lot of tit for tat. People are going to have to take their authority back, especially when boundaries have been blurred. They're going to have to strongly reestablish and maintain boundaries. And that's not going to make everybody happy, because some people, let's face it, like blurred boundaries. They like to pretend like they're in charge when really they're not. And when they get frustrated by you asserting the boundaries, they're going to respond through manipulation and control, rather than controlling themselves, which is the core issue. This is bringing up people who try to get control of their lives by controlling everybody but themselves. And when you put them back in check, they're not going to like it. Get ready for it. If you want to use this energy positively in your relationships, stay in your lane. Yes, assert your own desires, but make sure that you're also considering what other people desire, especially if you want to have a partnership with that person and you want it to be a healthy exchange, and they are willing to purge any toxicity that has been there in the exchange. As long as they're willing to work on it, you got something to work on. But let's say, again, on a global level, if you're dealing with an entity who is at cross purposes with you, they're not actually there for the official reasons that you've been told. And frankly, all their actions consistently, going back to Katrina, clearly illuminate that. Well, you're going to have to purge them from your midst. In terms of resources, we are in a major time of the haves and have-nots. And so we've got to be especially on guard about people who are leveraging money, resources to exploit other people, especially their weaknesses, and maybe try to get people who are in a weakened position in life to compromise themselves and accept abuse, blurred boundaries, when they really shouldn't. We need to stand in the gap for those people. We need to speak up, and we need to refuse to comply. Americans need to take back our power. We need to step back into the rightful authority that we have here in America, where we, the people, are the rulers, not the political elite. We need to remind them of who runs this country. We need to start acting like we run this country. And that could be by doing something as simple as engaging your local sheriff, particularly like you saw in North Carolina, where they got their sheriff involved with FEMA and said, you do not have jurisdiction here, which the sheriff has rightful authority to do on behalf of the people. You also, at an individual level, can say, I'm no longer filing taxes anymore. If you can have the confidence, the bravery, which is Aries, to step into your own sovereignty and say, I'm not going to do this anymore. I do not consent. I will not be funding warfare any longer, especially to the detriment of my fellow countrymen. And another thing is, you could start your own community outreach effort where you're like, enough of this, enough of our local resources going to foreigners and foreign lands. Because by the way, did you know that's what they're doing? They have, when people donate to FEMA, according to their rules, they have a right to disperse those donations any way they see fit. So start creating maybe giving centers, neighborhood exchanges, swaps, in addition to neighborhood watches. Then we create meaningful change.